Yeah, we love
just
food, so
okay,
like,
so Anaru Cantu is like one of the guys who really taught Grant molecular gastronomy. And his place, Moto, was one of the original molecular gastronomy places in Chicago. And he ended up killing himself.
I remember that,
right.
So he's an artist.
His place was way better.
Yeah.
He was like a true torture artist.
Yeah, just...
Dude, I have never had it. Once in my life, I've had a dish that was so good, I had to go into the kitchen and ask them, how the fuck did you make this?
Yeah.
It was at Moto.
What was it? Like, what was the dish?
It was the dead simplest thing.
Yeah.
And I think
It
they were slow playing it.
Yeah.
So it was like a roasted pork shoulder, but they had like, it had like a coconut mix and a little teeny bit of lime and what. Like if I describe it to you, you're like, okay, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah, like you had a spiritual experience when you ate it, the textures.
It must have been, either they weren't telling me everything, or it was the absolute best, like pastured Berkshire ham, which I'm sure it was, or pig, and the way they cured it, and the way they roasted it, and the coconut milk, and then like everything must have been like the best ingredients. I don't know, there was something about it though.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm like, can I have more? And like the chef was lying, he's like, yeah, dude, like gave me a little, and I ate it there, like almost like a, you know, like have you ever seen a Buddhist eat and they're like reverent and they're sit? I was like, it was transcendent.
Dang.
I can honestly say I understand. Like I totally.
Once you have a dish like that, it's like, oh my god.
Oh, dang.
Oh, I'll tell you the other one too, Maria in New York, which it's still there, right? Michael White's place. It is. You could actually go there and get this. It's not even that expensive. It's like $35 a dish. They have bone marrow fusilli octopus.
Yes.
Ooh. No, I'm telling you, this is. If I had to pick a dish that you can get now, that would be it.
Okay.
The best dish that exists right now in the world.
I'll be in New York in February. I'll
okay,
book,
dude, I'm telling you.
You should go.
Get a reservation in Maria. Just sit at the bar if you have to, and trust me. Try not to eat. If you're gonna have lunch, whatever, but have an early lunch.
Yeah.
Not too big, because you're gonna eat it, and then you're gonna want to order another one to eat again.
Oh yeah.
Ask me how I know. Because I will go there and I will get a full one, and then for dessert I'll get a half one, and I'm not kidding.
And just down it all.
Dude, you don't understand. You don't understand. No. So because I'll explain the molecular aspect why this is so good. So they take baby octopus.
Yeah.
And so like they put like they take the garlic and butter, and then they scrape out bone marrow, right, from like cow, and then really get that liquefied. Right. Then they put the marinara sauce, basic, really simple, amazing San Marzano tomatoes, and really get that and that by itself, is really good. But what happens is you put the octopus in, and they have like like not gelatin, but they have their, the
like a
slime
chutney
shit.
or
No, they have the slime on them, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, I forget what it's called. But they have that film. And
membrane.
So, what?
Membrane? Is it a
Yes.
membrane?
Yeah,
yes.
sort of. It's not a, but it's like it's like a gooey,
mucousy thing.
Right. So almost like a gelatin. And what ends up happening is that it molecularly bonds with the
marrow.
The marrow. And so then you put the fusilli in, right? Which like a little corkscrew pasta, right?
Yeah.
You put it in, and it coats that, and so you get this. It's hard to describe the flavor because like you have it, and it's not an overwhelming flavor. It's just like amazing, and then every bite's more amazing.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing you can't It's like, oh my god.
You're overwhelmed by what you're actually experiencing.
Right, but it's not through intensity, through depth.
Yeah.
Like it's garlic and whatever, and so it's got a really good punch. But it's not. You can have a ton of dishes that have an amazing intensity, but which is cool. Intensity and depth is also cool. This has a depth like nothing else. Man.
It's just like that unctuous.
Telling you.
We could do a whole podcast,
dude. Yeah.
Maria, bone marrow fusilli octopus.
2 of them.
Dose.
2 of them.
So 4 because
it's it's like
it'll be me and my girl. So
order,
4.
Order one.
Yeah.
And I'm just don't try and share.
Yeah.
I made that.
No. We don't. We don't share.
They don't share at all.
Yeah.
We're rolling. I I'm gonna just stay on the food track, then we'll get to
just
it.
a little bit.
I
Can we
was
talk to Austin?
curious. In the food realm, what's the most disappointing meal you've had, or dish you've had?
Oh man, there's been so many of the 3 Michelin star or 2 Michelin star places that do like the fancy small like prefix
it's the
menus,
tasting
right?
menu thing.
Tasting menu, like 18 courses or 10 courses, 12 courses, and they're all the small little things and bites. That is so hard to get right.
So hard.
But so many chefs think that's the apotheosis of food, right?
Yeah.
I have to be doing this the way that the greats do it
So
to
that I
be
can
a
get my
great
star.
Right, I have to be like Joel Robuchon or Grant A. Schatz or whatever.
Yeah.
And so but they can't do it.
Yeah.
Right? And like it's not an insult to them. That's just like saying
not everybody's Jose Andres. Like you can't expect to operate at that
right,
level.
it's like a dude playing in the NBA trying to be Jordan. It's like, dude, go be the best player. First of all, you're in the NBA.
Yeah.
And just go be who you are.
Yeah.
Play your game.
Right, you can even win a championship maybe, but you're not going to be him.
Yeah.
Because
right?
like one of the most recent Michelin star restaurants is this little like Thai kitchen shack in London, and all they do is 2 dishes. They make chicken rice and they make one other thing, and that's it. And they have a Michelin star.
Yeah.
They're just doing what they do better than everybody else.
That is, if more chefs understood that, I'm going to find the best ingredients and create the best dish I can, or the best set of dishes, instead of I'm going to be fancy.
Yeah.
Man, there's just an endless list of these, places I've been to, and it's like, okay, this is fine.
I get it.
What did I just pay $1,000 for? This is not worth it. Whereas you go to French Laundry, and it's like, you pay $1,000, and it's like, man, I underpaid. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to the kitchen and you're tipping
Thomas
everybody.
Keller is one.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Or you go to 11 Madison Park, or you go to, Joel Robuchon's place in Vegas. Like, I've not been to the one in Paris, but his one Atelier in Vegas. Well, he has 2. Like the Atelier, which is kind of like the mid-range, and he has the Joel Robuchon.
Elevated
like
one. Yeah.
My wife and I we got the high-end wine pairing there. We legit spent $2,000.
Nice.
Wow.
For 2 people. It was obnoxious. But that was a true combination of artistry and amazing food and amazing service and all of that. Like, they really nailed.
And it's so hard to combine all of that.
Because
if one thing's out of step, if the wine doesn't pair right, or if you've got an overbearing
Well, and even
service,
down to like if the food comes out a split second too late.
Well, it's, you know what it is? When you're trying to make complex things, you've got to be you got to be a perfectionist and an artist, right? But you can make, like the liver we had. Rome Ridge.
Yeah.
Olive oil, garlic, salt, pepper. That was fucking badass, wasn't
So
it?
It was amazing. Thank you for seasoning.
Yes,
Thank you for
Chef
seasoning it,
Vaughn
Vaughn.
Chef
did a
Vaughn.
great
Thank you
job
so
seasoning.
much.
Now, what percentage of that was my preparation?
Sure.
Of the total flavor experience?
Yeah.
10%?
Yeah.
It's a fucking buffalo.
Yeah.
It's Rome Ridge.
Yeah.
It's like the buffalo's lived his whole life there. It's incredibly, it's the ingredients, right?
Yes.
A great chef understands, and all the great chefs will tell you this. Alice Waters was the big one on
The big one, yeah.
Pick the best ingredients, treat them with respect, and you will always make great food.
Every time.
Right, but so many chefs make food to impress other chefs.
Yeah.
You aren't selling to other chefs. You're selling to me, asshole.
Yeah.
So either make simple, great food, which I'll come all day long.
Yeah.
Every day.
Or make transcendent, complex food, which is
Which you'll travel to Vegas or
I
Paris.
will have
to
that
do.
experience with you, yeah.
which I'll do once, twice in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to French Laundry 10 times.
Well, that's not where you get to get nutrition. You go there to
Have
get
an experience.
substance and have an experience.
Yeah.
Are
And-
there? So please.
No, you go.
Well, I'm curious because Austin is in and of itself a great place for food, but to your point, like some of it can be a bit showy, a bit chefy.
More than some.
Where do you find your best meal in Austin? Like
So consistently over
Yeah.
time, the best restaurant, I mean, like the best high-end restaurant, like
any just
Let's go 2 ways.
experience-
The
yeah.
best high end, but then the best
And then,
like
like,
I
where
just
you're
want to go
sending-
get
All
my
right,
favorite.
So probably either Uchi or Uchiko.
Sure.
Okay.
They're worth the hype. I've been to both. Yeah.
No, they're both amazing.
Yeah.
Like Tyson is very arrogant and very narcissistic, but he's a short chef, so bless his heart.
Yeah.
man. Like,
Hey, man.
right?
He's a
It's
short
hard to see over
guy
the burner,
who's a
you know?
chef,
It's-
so
yeah,
it just
yeah.
sort of plays
Yeah,
into it.
but he is a genuine artist. He's
Yeah.
really good at his craft. He nails the food. It is
Absolutely.
He's got that funny voice.
He's got
It's
that
amazing.
wagyu sashimi bite is one of the best bites in Austin.
And you pair that with the trumpet mushroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the best. All right, so that's always the go-to when I want to take someone to a nice high-end place in Austin.
Sure.
If I can't get in there, Jeffrey's is okay. It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's not like anything I would travel for, but
Yeah.
but they have the best wine list in Austin.
Yeah, they just don't have endless breadsticks, which bothers me, but whatever.
They'll give you.
If you know the right guy, they'll give you bottomless soup, though.
Yeah, no, they give you the English toffee.
There you go.
Not toffee, but what do they call it?
Tweel.
No.
Sticky pudding.
Sticky puddings.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those probably high end for. All right, maybe for a single. It's tough. There's a lot of single dishes.
Yeah.
There's almost every restaurant in Austin's. Even the ones that are garbage have one or two things that are like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll eat that. There's plenty of restaurants my wife and I go to, and it's like we just get one dish.
We're here
And
for
like,
one thing.
Right. Don't you want to know? I don't want to try that. Get that away from me. Give me the thing that you're
Yeah.
nailing. So like, if I had to pick a single dish, it's actually a very simple one. But the thing that comes to mind is, have you guys ever been to the DD, the food trailer?
DD.
DD,
Yes, over. It's
Thai
by
place.
radio, right?
Yeah, it's in radio.
Yes, so
Right,
good.
So they have one dish that's off the charts, right? And it is it's like the pork. It's a pork on skewers. I can't remember what it's called, but it is like I've never before. And ordered like 10 orders. And the dude's like, "Is this for a group? How many forks do you need? You need 10 forks?" Like, one.
And are you kind of like, can you just let me have fun here?
I just want to eat my food, man. I don't.
He's like, okay.
All right, fine.
No,
I
he's not
guess.
even judgmental.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
just trying to help me get the right
Yeah,
number
yeah.
of silverware. He's not a dick about it.
No.
He's just like, no, it's a husband, like a white dude like us,
Yeah.
and his wife who's like from Thailand,
Yeah.
and like I've never even heard her speak. Every time I go there, she is busting her ass in the kitchen, and he's handling the front.
Yeah.
And
They're in their places.
They're in
Yeah.
their They seem both very happy and
I mean, that's how Pok Pok started.
off the charts. Yeah, Pop
Yeah,
Pop
yeah.
Wings. Are we in Portland or?
Yeah.
Or-
That's like the same story, more or less.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where I would get, but there's so many,
Yeah,
off
yeah.
the charts good places. I mean, dude, the best pizza in Austin, fucking Pious. This
Yeah.
random place out 290.
Yep.
Pious.
Super
Random.
good.
By the
So
way,
random.
they're pastrami. I'm a massive pastrami, like an absolute
Interesting.
obnoxious asshole.
Yeah. Is that your
about
salt
pastrami.
side of you too, like the salty piece, or just in general?
There a lot of foods I'm like,
Yeah.
don't give me a dare. Like, I'm not eating this nonsense.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
I'm a big pastrami snob.
Nice.
Like,
Yeah.
mediocre pastrami, I'll just feed to dogs.
Sure.
Bad pastrami, I won't even feed to my dog.
It's
Like,
a sin.
But either it
Yeah.
has to be amazing or get it away from me. It's sort of
Right.
like any real Texan with brisket
Oh
barbecue.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Like what is it?
Yeah.
Get it out.
So
Yeah.
but I'm like that way with pastrami. I have never had pastrami outside of New York that was edible, except there's 2 places in LA. Amazing.
Sure.
There's about four maybe, because I've lived in LA, New York.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 places in New York that are pretty badass.
Yeah.
Pious. I will put next to any of those.
Interesting.
Really?
Pious!
Okay.
Because one
We're
of the places
stopping
in
at
LA
Pious
I
on the
know
way home.
of, because Cats closed down at one point.
Cats was garbage.
Yeah.
The hottest of hot garbage. Pastrami. Like, if you tell
Well,
me
that's
you
why-
like it,
that's
fine,
why
but
It was
I don't.
Arby's,
I
right?
leave.
Yeah.
Like, that's offensive.
How mad would you be if I put a Lunchable and like Arby's curly fries right in
Right.
front of you?
I'd be mad.
Just kind of
Right.
push it
And I'm
back.
good.
Fling it or whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's like, obviously, you wouldn't be putting it there for me to eat.
Yeah. That's for you to play with.
Right? Like, you don't hate me.
Yeah.
Right? No, but, dude, Pious.
Yeah. Pious.
Amazing pastrami. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Not
Okay.
okay pastrami. Not really good. Not it'll work.
Like top
Amazing.
tier.
Top notch.
Yeah.
Like, I would put it next to, I'm not going to say it's better than anything in New York, LA.
Yeah.
I would put it next
Next
to
to.
it. It might be better. Truly.
if you lined it
You'd
up,
have
it
to do
could
like a
compete.
side by
You
side.
got to do side by side. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
go,
Yeah.
right.
Well, that's what I love about like Austin and certain things happening right now is people are so dedicated to making something that is the best and just dedicating themselves to that one thing
Yeah, it's very cool.
and making it awesome. Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we bring up Boston to sort of have a really bumpy segue into Tucker Max, our
only
guest
bumpy
today.
if you say it's bumpy.
You have made Texas your home, at
Yes.
least
13 years.
13 years. We have so many questions. We just left Rome Ranch, where you are a dead eye
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
killed a buffalo.
was an amazing shot.
You invited us to go partake in that. We're really, really appreciative of that.
Yep, of course.
Getting to watch that and be there. You seem like a Texan, but you're not from here, so.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Kentucky. The
Yeah.
South. I know Texans. We're not in the South. Fuck you. You're part of the South. You join the Confederacy.
Yeah.
You're telling yourself a different story. There is a continuity amongst Southern rural living.
Yeah.
It's not all the same, but
Right.
there is a continuity.
Some similar-
You're right. It's
yeah.
like you go to Cornell, you go to Harvard. They're both
Yeah.
Ivy League,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, not the same, but both Ivy.
Sure.
Saying that you grew up in Texas, grew up in Kentucky, they're close enough where it's
Yeah.
like I got here, I'm like, oh, I know these
I get
people.
this.
I know how this works.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand why you guys like Bluebell.
Yeah.
But I get the whole thing. It makes sense. It feels
Loyalty.
Yeah.
I get it.
Right.
What did bring you? Let's go back a little bit. What brought you to Austin, to Texas in the first place?
Right.
Because as you just said, you were in LA, you were in New York.
I did not intend to be a Texan.
Okay.
So I was, grew up in Kentucky, college, boarding school in New Jersey, which was predictably awful.
That silver spoon looks great, by the way.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, it was mainly because my mom was crazy, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to live with her. And my dad didn't want me, but he had money, so I got to go to boarding
of
school.
course.
Sure.
It's
That's
not
how
a
that
silver spoon
works.
thing. It's like
Yeah.
I basically was able to finagle myself away from crazy. Yo, what's up?
What's up, dude? Oh, hey, what's up, dude? Oh, shit.
Excellent. So that is, so then college at University of Chicago, law school at Duke, then lived in Chicago again like 4 or 5 years, and then New York for a while, and then I went to LA to make a movie based on my first book, I Hope to Serve Beer in Hell. Like it was pretty crazy being like 32 and there being a movie made about your
Yeah.
life, but
Yeah.
it was a horrible experience though, every
Yeah.
aspect of it.
Sure.
Just LA, the people in the entertainment business, I was in a fucked up place, right? So it's not like I was some saint and everyone else was
Right.
terrible. I was just as fucked
Just
up.
that
in a
perfect
Yeah.
storm of
Yeah, exactly. So,
negativity.
so the movie came out, and the movie didn't do very well, and like that was genuinely soul crushing to me at the time. Like where
Yeah.
I was energetically and spiritually, it was a great. Think about it, this is so funny. It is the iconic rich white person problem. So, I famous best-selling book. That was like peak of my fame. 09. There was a movie made about my life that came out on my 33rd birthday that didn't do $10 million at the box office, and it literally broke my soul.
Yeah.
Like, on one hand, that's like so tragic and sad. On the other hand, it's like, the fuck's wrong with you?
You're
Right.
upset?
You're upset
It's
because
hilarious.
the movie made about your life didn't become the best movie ever.
This
Like,
accident you
yeah, yeah.
created is
This
now
whole-
on the screen?
Your accidental adventures
But
didn't.
that's just the reality of who I
Yeah.
was at the time,
Yeah.
my narcissism,
Yeah.
all of that, right?
But it feels
really,
how it feels.
That is,
Yeah.
And those feelings are real.
Oh, they were real.
Oh yeah.
No, they were real. And so, anyway, so the movie didn't do well.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I could have stayed in LA. Once you cross the threshold in the business of getting something made, even
Yeah.
if it didn't necessarily do well,
They'll make something with
well,
you
you
again.
can keep going, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, no, I hate it here.
Mm-hmm.
And just I hated the people in the entertainment.
Yeah.
They're either sociopaths or. And I thought I was a narcissist. I didn't realize what narcissists were until I got to LA.
Like,
I
you
was-
were B
right.
team.
I thought I was like this horrible soulless narcissist. And I got there, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm a really good person. Like
I'm a saint
I didn't
here.
I didn't
Right.
realize the continuum went like this. I thought it was over here.
Yeah.
And so like I was like, all right, I got to get out.
Yeah.
And so it was October of 2009. And I was like, well, I figured I'd just go back to Chicago. I'd been 7 years, I loved it. But I'm like, I don't want to go back to Chicago for the winter.
Yeah.
So like, where's the opposite city of LA that is in the South, that'll be warm, that'll be fun, I can spend the
Yeah.
winter there, I can finish my next book.
Yeah.
And then I'll
Baton
go to-
Rouge.
That would be a negative.
Shreveport.
God.
Oh God, dude, that's where we filmed the movie.
Is it really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude, Shreveport, man.
Just
Don't even get me
humid.
started about Shreveport, Bossier City. So anyway, I was like, oh, Austin, of course. Like every time I've been to Austin, I love it. I didn't really have any friends here,
Yeah.
but like I always loved the city. It always had a cool vibe.
Yeah.
So like I just got my
Hey,
dog.
guys. Oh, you say, oh, cool. What's up?
Nice.
Got my dog, got my shit, drove to Austin. I'll never forget this. I literally I didn't know where I was gonna live, right? So I just pulled downtown. There were like 2 apartment buildings downtown. The Emily downtown,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then they had just put up the tall one next to it.
The tall, like kind of the white
Yeah, it's got,
framing.
like, an A name
everyone
or
would,
something.
everyone would say Jay-Z lived at the top or
right.
something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so like, I like went to both
He
of
did
them.
that.
I went to Emily.
Okay.
And I was like, and they're like, yeah, show me like whatever, like a nice place. So she showed me this really nice 2-bedroom corner thing, and I'm like, how much? And she's like, what did she say?
You're about to make me so mad.
$650. And I was like, man, that's weekly? And no, I said, that's a lot. She goes, yeah, I know. It's so none. I'm like, rents have come down, in LA. She's like, yeah, they came down a little here, but like, we're still pretty good with occupancy. I'm like, all right. And so I'm like, then it's something else. And then I'm like, well, so what's that? Do I get, like $2,400 a month? And she's like, no, $650 is monthly. I thought she meant weekly. Because I'm like, how could the best place you can rent in Austin
Be $650
a month?
You're
'Cause I just
$650,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh. So you rent it.
I started laughing at her.
Yeah.
And then she like kind of got a little butthurt about it. And I was like, okay, yeah, of course. And I'm like, I just want a 6-month lease. I don't want. And she's like, oh, but that'll be $150 more a month. And I was like, I think.
Oh no!
It's gonna be okay.
Were you almost playing into like, oh no, 150?
No, I was like, I'll be all right.
I'll be okay.
So I think I paid $850.
Yeah,
sure.
And so then I spent 6 months there.
Yeah.
Loved it. Like had a great time. And then ended up re-upping my lease. And then re-upped my lease again. And then somehow randomly, the end of Town Lake, that it used to be the tallest apartment building, the Windsor, which is all the way at the end.
Yeah.
They built 2 now, or 3 that are taller.
They're way taller.
Right. But the penthouse there came up for rent, and it was like, and this is like maybe 11 or 12,
Yeah.
and it was like $5,000 a month, and I was like, well, and it's huge, 3,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, it's
Yeah,
massive,
it's house
and
on
this
top of the building.
incredible
Yeah.
view, and I'm like, fuck, I'll take that.
Yeah.
And so then then met her mom before she was her mom, and then fell in love, and then got married. Our first son, her brother Bishop, you met, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm a Texan now.
Yeah, I guess this is where we are.
I guess this is, but then we really started thinking, because she and I did have the conversation. Listen, she owns her own business. She could be remote. I'm gonna be remote. I'm like, what? And she's like, we talked all these other places, and we're like, no, we don't want, there's nowhere else we'd rather go.
Yeah.
And nowhere else we'd rather be full time.
Yeah.
And this is all, pre-COVID, before,
Yeah.
Now it's obvious. Oh, Texas is absolutely one of the 2 or 3 states you've got to be in if you actually want to be free at all, right?
Yeah.
But then it was, I knew something was coming, but I didn't think anything like this. I'm just things are whatever. I think Texas is really well situated. Environmentally, maybe not number 1 spot I'd want to be, but
It'll
a lot
do.
of other things, yeah.
It'll do,
Yeah,
right?
it'll
Have air
do.
conditioning.
Yeah,
So.
and honestly, it's I always tell people, listen, if so many people who live in LA, they justify it by talking about the weather. Oh, the weather's amazing. It is amazing. And I say, if you're one of those people, don't come to Austin or Texas.
Yes.
Because the weather's horrible. It's horrible. It's
Yeah.
either Africa hot or freezing rain.
Or freezing the grid completely cold.
Yeah.
Either freezing rain or Africa hot, right?
Yeah.
And it's dusty. And
And if it's not
things
dusty,
don't
it's
Well, in
grow
Austin,
moldy.
allergies.
Yeah.
Right. Things
All
don't
year.
grow well.
Yeah.
It's honestly, there's a beauty to it. It's not, if you're looking for beauty, it is not the fucking place to be.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is a reason that General Philip Sheridan said that if he owned hell in Texas, he would live in hell and rent out Texas. I get it, right?
Yeah.
But that was 150 years ago when he
Yeah.
was chasing Pancho Villa.
Yeah.
Now, the reason to be in Austin is because of the people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No other reason. Because it is a combination and a mix of people that you aren't going to find anywhere else. And the city's big, this is 5, 6, 7 years ago. The city's big enough that it has almost everything cool you're going to want in a big city. Not everything, but almost.
Almost.
With almost none of the downside
Yeah.
of a big city, right? And so it was all kind of the perfect sort of spot for us then, right?
Yeah.
And so then, now my kids are Texan.
There you go.
They're
Oh,
native
dude.
Texans.
Dude, my fucking son is a Cowboys fan.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
got
Fucking
him.
worst.
It's the best.
The worst.
What did you want him to be? Like a Jets fan or something?
Anything else?
Look, man,
Literally.
you were gonna set
If
him
he
up.
was a fan of the Chinese Communist Party over the Cowboys, I'd have been okay
But
with
no,
that.
Tucker, you
No,
don't
but
get
listen,
it.
here's the thing.
Now
he's gonna
he
be
gets,
set up for success, like for everything else in his
because now
life.
he
So
gets to
now
learn what it's like to be let down year after year. He'll know how to
There's
overcome
so many
adversity.
He'll know
things
what
that
pain
he could root
is.
for the Bengals and be let down way worse. At least the Cowboys have hope every year.
Nobody
He'll know what it's
disappoints you like
like
the
to
Cowboys.
deal with profound mediocrity on a yearly basis. And isn't that the meaning of life? To just know how to handle it?
And it's not like I am definitely, we're not like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this.
Sure.
No, we're the opposite of that as parents.
Yeah.
If it's, as long as it's safe and legal, they get to make their own choices,
Yeah,
right?
sure, definitely.
This motherfucker roots for the Dallas fucking Cowboys.
Hard too, right?
Oh,
like
no,
he is
like
a
a
Cowboys,
Cowboys
fan.
Yeah. He's a Cowboys fan.
He's also super into hunting.
Yes,
So,
which
like,
we found
he's a-
out today.
They're all Texans.
And drinking blood from the
Dude,
bison.
that
Yep.
was,
Dude,
honestly,
he just
today was amazing. My favorite part was seeing how the kids reacted
Yeah.
to like having that blood
Yeah.
and just like being part of the experience
Yeah.
overall.
it wasn't one of your kids. One of them like kind of like had the blood on their
Yeah.
finger.
It's like,
Eh. Oh
He's
man!
like,
Like,
oh,
oh,
yeah.
let's go.
Yeah, you saw that primal like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what we used to do.
This is amazing.
stripped down, painted red, sprinting around the.
And with that, I'm curious about two things. Where did therapy come in the picture for you, and where did hunting come in the picture for you?
Not together at all.
For sure. Okay, got it. Did one lead to the other?
No.
Although
not
that
in
would be
any
an
way, shape, or
interesting
form.
idea. Therapy while hunting.
Actually, you could make a very good argument that therapy led to hunting, but it is a very indirect route.
Okay.
Okay.
Right? So, all right. So I started after my movie
Yeah.
about my life not being a smashing success broke my soul.
Yeah.
Moved to Austin, and it was about. So I moved to Austin, and I like. Obviously, none of this was conscious, but obviously, when you're not obvious, when you're trying to be famous, the thought process in your head, deep in your head, in your soul, almost always unconscious, is, if the world loves me and praises me, it will fill the hole in my soul. That
Yeah.
can come from a million things. For me, it was like my parents didn't want me,
Yeah.
abandoned me. Whatever. I'm going to show them that I'm worthy of love. The world's going to love me.
Yeah.
Right?
Everyone else loves
not
me, so
remotely conscious.
Yeah.
Nothing you could have said to me at the time would have convinced me of that, even though it's
Yeah.
true. Okay, cool. So that's where I was. Movie comes out, fails, broke my grandiosity, all the sort of narcissistic defenses you use.
And you
when
had
you're
massive
abandoned as a
success
kid.
building into
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
right?
no,
It's not
huge.
like this was a crapshoot
It
at
was
the
like
time.
my books kept selling.
It looks like a
I
sure
sold
thing. Yeah.
millions of copies, like all this sort of stuff. So like, okay, so then it was like, all right, I was very miserable and sad, right? And much more than normal. And so it was like, it's like, all right, I gotta fix this.
It was more
And so
obvious.
I started like, how do I fixed everything external in my life.
Yeah.
I got in amazing shape.
Yeah.
Finances.
Yeah,
dialed
you moved
in.
locations. I mean,
Like,
getting
moved
out of
to
the
a great place
of,
that I ended
yeah,
up loving,
environment,
right?
yeah.
So I got everything in my life dialed in, like a on paper perfect life.
Right.
And I was definitely happier than when the movie was failing and I was miserable, but like 10% happy.
Yeah.
There was still, I wasn't willing to admit it to myself explicitly, but there was still a deep sadness and loneliness, right?
Yeah.
And so eventually I just realized, look, if everything in my life is fixed and perfect, and I'm miserable, or I'm just sad and depressed,
Yeah.
it's got to be inside.
Yeah.
It's got to be me. There's got to be something in here that is not working properly.
Yeah.
And so, a friend of mine who did psychotherapy and helped her a bunch, psychoanalysis specifically, which is a form of talk therapy, she connected me to somebody in Austin. And it's funny, I had her number for like 6 months on my desk before I called her. Called her. Well, actually, I ended up seeing 20 different therapists. To pick one. No,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
finding a therapist is like dating.
Yeah.
Like, if you just pick the first one, who knows if they're the right person,
Yeah,
right?
because they could have their own,
Oh,
their
dude,
own mess
like-
could be conflicting with your mess,
Yeah,
and so now it's a
some of the only reproducible data in psychology and psychiatry is that the therapeutic orientation of the therapist doesn't actually matter, hardly at all. Within, like, there's some weird ones that don't work at all, and some that are a little bit better, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is your connection with the therapist.
Yeah.
How connected are they to you and you to them? How much
Right.
do you trust them?
yeah.
Is 10 times more important than their skill or their modality, right? So I probably saw 10 or 20 therapists, she was the one my friend had recommended months before. It ended up being her was the one.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I didn't even know. I saw so many therapists, and it was like, I was smarter than most of them, so I would like talk circles around there. Like I could, like I'm like, okay, you can't.
Would it almost become a game?
Yeah,
Like,
then
oh,
it's
you're
like, that's not
realizing what's
therapy,
going on.
That's just,
You're just playing with people
myself,
like you play with
I'm
everybody
mentally
else.
masturbating,
Yeah.
convincing myself I'm doing something when I'm not.
Yeah.
So what I ended up having to do is I asked one of the therapists, I'm like, who do you go to?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, she's like, okay, I'm going to recommend a woman to you. She is she's the psychoanalyst that analysts go to.
And her name
She
is Brene
trains
Brown.
No, she's the one who trains analysts, and like she does, like, we go to her.
Yeah.
And it was the woman my friend recommended. So it was like, okay, the universe is telling me something. And so she was a badass. Like, she was really good for me. Mm-hmm. And so for 4 years, I went 4 times a week. Like, basically every day.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And it really helped me a lot. It helped me make a map of my mind and my emotions. To really understand, oh, I am feeling that. Oh, like, that's probably why. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I didn't. But honestly, like, after 4 years, it was like, it kind of like plateaued, right? And I was like, I felt better. It was way better than before, but it was still like
something.
Like I'm not on the other side.
Yeah.
I just knew intuitive. This is not where I'm trying to get.
Yeah.
A little bit better is not my thing. So I tried a bunch of other, ended up stopping therapy, tried a bunch of other things, and then at Scribe we did a book called Trust, Surrender, Receive, which is about MDMA therapy. Mm-hmm. And the guy, he's not at Scribe anymore. His name's Dan Burnett. He was like the PM.
Okay.
And he did an MDMA session, and I saw the change in him. And like, I'd kind of known about this vaguely, but I'm like, I'm not doing drugs for therapy. That just sounds crazy to me. And I saw, like, literally, I saw it because I knew him. I saw the change, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's what I want.
That's what you need.
Right? He wasn't trying to convince me. Man, like, I knew people at the time who were like, you gotta do ayahuasca, and I'm like, you've done ayahuasca 50 times and you're fucked.
You're worse than when you start.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
There's you probably know who I'm talking about. There's a very, very famous person who lives in Austin who will not shut the fuck up about ayahuasca.
Yeah.
I've known him a long time.
No clue who you're talking about.
No idea.
No idea.
And at this point, it's like, actually, it could be 2 or 3, but the one who's been talking about it.
That's fair.
Because now there's more
Yeah.
of them because they're attracted.
Because they're attracted to each other.
So I love that dude.
Gotta do ayahuasca with somebody.
Yeah.
I love that dude. He's a great human. But like in 2012, he was banging the drum to me about ayahuasca, and I'm like, I know you, man. I know how fucked up your life is.
Yeah.
Like, if you told me to eat, I would starve.
Yeah.
Like, literally, nothing
Yeah.
you tell me to do, I'm gonna do. I'm 100 miles ahead of you in any measure.
And I haven't even tried ayahuasca yet.
Right.
So
Like, like, but like, whatever. So.
No, I hear you.
I'm very glad I didn't start with ayahuasca.
Yeah.
It would have been horrible. It's a
Yeah.
horrible place to start a psychological journey. It would have been for me and for most people. It's rough.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the deep end.
Dude, it is.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's almost a different experience than like
the metaphor I use for people is psychedelic medicine therapy is like learning how to swim. Mm-hmm. You can learn to swim in the see guys. You can learn to swim in the shallow end of the pool, or you can learn to swim in the deep end of the pool, or you can learn to swim in the fucking ocean.
Yeah.
What do you want to learn?
Yeah.
You know, MDMA is the shallow end. Like, mushrooms would be the deep end of the pool, and ayahuasca or 5-MeO was like learn to swim in the ocean, and not the beach. Like, dropped in the ocean.
Like dropped in the depths.
And make it to shore.
Cliffs of Cardiff, just like,
Have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Like, that's, so, did MDMA therapy, and, man, it was so game changing. It was like, it took about an hour for it to kind of get in and hit. And then once it hit, it was so mind blowing and so game changing for me in all ways, almost instantaneously. It was the weirdest thing, man. It was like, immediately I felt the deepest love I'd ever felt in my life. Like, I realized at that moment, at first I was like so excited that I felt all this love and so much love, and my wife was there. I'm like, I love you so much, and crying. And then I got really sad because I'm like, oh my God, I've never felt love before.
I got
Like,
sad
this
too.
is what
Oh
love
my
is.
God.
And I have never felt this in my fucking life.
Isn't it so weird when you get sad on the thing that's supposed to like?
No, but hold on. Done right, MDMA, like the initial pop should be the love and and the acceptance and the safety. But when your brain gets to that state, then it's like, oh, it's time to go deal with the trauma.
Yeah, now that we're here.
Right.
Now that
that
you're
you're
safe.
Yeah.
Let's
go.
go turn into your shadow and deal with your
Yeah.
hardest shit.
Yeah.
Which is actually how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
That is how it works. It's kind of weird to learn that at first and to kind of go through, and so that's pretty much what happened. And so the next 3.5 years, that's 3.5 years ago, this basically became the thing, like, and it's by far the most, I always tell people, like, it's the most important thing I do. And then people are like, you're married and have kids. And I'm like, you're right. And I wouldn't be married and my kids would probably hate me if I'd not done this.
Yeah.
And it, no fault of their own.
Yeah.
Like, I had, man, I mean, it's the difference between chicken salad and chicken shit in terms of life.
Yeah.
Like, it is just,
There are so
everything.
many people super close to us who talk about having just a complete shift in the ability to deal with
Like an
life.
actual rewiring of how their brain works.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. I say that, and people are like, oh, cool. And they don't say this, but a lot of, I want my magic pill. I'm like,
And it's
this is so opposite of a magic pill.
Yeah.
You cannot imagine the hell the last 3.5 years have been in certain ways.
Yummy.
It's all right, baby.
It's okay.
The last 3 years have been, imagine all the worst shit that's ever happened to you in your life that you don't want to think about or feel.
Yeah.
Times
That you've
5,
built defense mechanisms up
and
against.
it's gonna come.
Yeah.
But that's actually the point.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about something because you were in therapy for, you said, like 4 years before you hit that plateau. Do you think that going through that part of it prepared you for the
Absolutely
MDMA
crucial.
part?
It's totally crucial for me. So the metaphor I always use is that, like, okay, so I think about therapy as like navigating a new landscape, right?
Yeah.
It's just a metaphor. If I give you let's say you're going to Manhattan. You said you're going to Manhattan in a couple months, right? Okay, cool. So let's pretend you've never been there.
Sure.
And I say, okay, I'm gonna give you a map of Manhattan, and I'm gonna tell you everything. I'm gonna walk you through the map. You're gonna know the map cold.
You're gonna know where the real raise is, where the fake one is.
Exactly. So like, is that going to Manhattan? Is that experiencing Manhattan?
Absolutely not.
It's a great preparation.
It's a great, yeah.
But it's awareness of
But
Manhattan.
that is only the map.
Yeah.
Right? And now, you can also go the other way around.
Yeah.
You can kind of heard of Manhattan and just fly there and just swing it.
Yeah.
Right. And you can have a great experience in Manhattan, but it's like, it's only the experience. And you have no way to contextualize it, right? I don't know where I am.
You're not oriented to
I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get back.
I don't know what's
I don't,
over there.
I don't know if this place is any good or
Yeah.
not. I don't know. Whatever, right? You're just
I also love that metaphor because in that scenario, it's like it's your Manhattan now.
Yeah.
Like,
map and territory.
yeah.
To me, psychedelics help you walk the territory, experience, feel the emotions. Talk therapy, done right, helps you build a map. Understand and contextualize what the experiences are, why you're having them, why they're important, how to see them, all that kind of stuff. Like, you can have a great map of Manhattan and never go, right? You can go to Manhattan a bunch and never contextualize it at all.
Yeah.
Those are okay. They're both better than nothing.
Yeah.
But if you, meaning a healed state, let's say, is a contextualized, understood experience of Manhattan.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dang.
And to further the metaphor, if all you're doing is experiencing Manhattan, you're going to tend to go to the same places that you know.
Exactly.
You're going to create this little bubble, and
Yes.
you're never
And
going
you're
to
gonna think
venture
it's the coolest
outside
thing
of it.
ever
Yeah, and you won't shut up about it. And you're going to try and get all your people.
to come to your Anyway,
I'm extending it too far.
And then I'm also curious with that, like, you even in you've left Scribe in an official way, and in your blog about it, you mentioned psychedelic therapy is something you're really going to be focused on.
Yeah.
What do you think of how psychedelic therapy and as medicine is becoming almost a fad in some ways? Like, there's certain people or certain groups that are kind of grabbing it like it's almost yoga in a way, and that seems wrong to me, but I'm curious what you think about that.
So one of the things that I've learned on my journey is to not judge the journey of others, right? Especially if it's not intersecting with mine.
Yeah.
Like, if you're dumping ayahuasca down my throat, we might have a problem.
Yeah.
But if you're just using ayahuasca in a way I think is reckless, well, we all have our different paths we gotta go.
Have fun
right?
with your ticket to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Right. Have fun.
See you
in a
later.
couple
You know?
weeks.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you what I've experienced. I'll tell you what I've seen. You do what you want.
Yeah.
So that's my general approach to all of it, right? I think as a culture and as a country, America we had our dangerous, reckless intersection with psychedelics, that was the 60s.
Yeah.
Right? That was where we had an extremely traumatized, disconnected society that all of a sudden a whole part of society got their eyes opened to how horrible everything was, and no one was ready for it.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, some people woke up and did great shit. For the most part, it didn't work well.
Yeah.
I think, some people doing it wrong, or not wrong. Or some people doing it in a way that's reckless or not helping.
Like recreationally and
Sure,
therapeutically are two different things.
We're talking about different.
I'm only talking about right? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I think as a society, we are in a place where I think there are enough people that are ready for this, and that are doing it the right way, placed in the right context. Honestly, like, it's the few people who came out of the 60s with their heads on straight. People like Rick Doblin, who runs Maps, and there's maybe 10 or 20 other core people.
Yeah, Charles Manson.
Right. Like, he like, on a continuum, I'd put those two at
To the
100
opposite.
very
So now we're
different.
oriented.
No,
Okay.
that's true. Like, how did Manson
Where's
use
North, where's
LSD?
South? Yeah.
Right? How does Doblin doing it? Very different.
Very different.
Very
And
important.
so, like one wants to murder a bunch of people and create an uprising. The other one's trying to help everyone heal. Right? And so, like, those people, the 10 or 20 people that kept that flame alive and restarted that fire, did it in the right way. And there's going to be people in the fringes and this and that, but I think the core is so strong.
Yeah.
And I think the timing is right. That I think this time. Look, I've been saying for a long time. I think we're going into a period that's going to be very chaotic and rough in a lot of ways, but I'm very optimistic about what's on the other side. And one of the main reasons is because I think psychedelic therapy is going to take this country completely by surprise and by storm. And it doesn't have to. I'm talking about like 3% of the people. That's it. That's all it's really going to take. And is maybe 5% that do it and get it right and change their lives. And I think that just
As a
is
catalyst.
gonna blow through
Yeah.
and fundamentally change so much other shit.
Definitely anecdotally, I work a lot with like financial copywriting and things like that, and I see in my sector a lot of micro-cap, small-cap companies exploding in that area, psychedelic wellness, retreats, starting the therapies, things like that.
I invested a bunch on field trip.
I was going to ask, like, is your role the way you see your role? Are you more of an advocate, financier, or is it more of like
a Jesus and disciples?
Yeah, exactly. Like
kind of
I'm
thing.
going to give you guys kind of the same obnoxious answer I gave last time.
Please.
I don't think about my role.
Sure.
It's not. I live my life. I do my work, and I share my work with others, and they can use it or not.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to. That's my role. That's my.
Yeah.
That's not for me to worry about.
Yeah. You're not going to break your pattern just to like help other people out.
No. I'm happy to help others.
Yeah.
Right? But if helping others is the identity, then you're not really helping. Then that's a narcissistic escape.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you can be doing great things and do it from a place that's very toxic, at a minimum for you,
Sure.
but really even for them in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right? It's the broken healer is not a healthy dynamic.
Yeah.
It's better than a broken murderer.
For sure. Yeah, for
But-
sure.
It's still not great.
Yeah.
And so I've really tried, especially recently, man, like last year and a half, 2 years, to let go of all that and not worry about it. I'm just going to go do this shit. Like, I was going to Rome Ranch with my 2 kids, and that's it.
And that's
Yeah.
it.
And then, like, Roman said something, and I'm like, oh, dude, you want to come? Yeah, of course. And Hal, those two both have huge platforms, Hal especially. And then, like, I was like, oh, I'm doing a podcast with them. Maybe they want to come too. And so it's like, okay, cool. And, like, who knows what may happen from this?
Yeah.
I was going out there anyway.
You were going to have me in the bed of your truck
matter
outside
what,
this gas station either
you were
way. Yeah.
I'm just imagining the bison tied to
The
the top of your
bison just
car,
at
just the
the
whole
top.
thing. Like,
Right, the
look, you
hood.
brought one car. I don't know what to do here.
Yeah,
Just-
so I know I was doing this regardless, right?
Yeah.
And so if I can share that experience in a way that helps others, cool.
yeah.
It shows them, here's what it
Absolutely.
is.
And it seems like you're applying that to every aspect of your life that you can.
And so where did, even kind of zooming back into just Texas, I mean, hunting is a pretty historic and traditional thing in this state to be Texan is to
We
have
were raised hunting occasionally.
to shoot your first whitetail with your dad. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Where did hunting, especially
You
hunting?
shot a whitetail with me, didn't you? Yeah.
She was
only
really
5.
happy about it.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
dude.
whatever. It was fine. Easy shot.
Light work.
Where did like, not just hunting, but knowing where your meat comes from and that whole thing
so
come into your life?
I've been eating paleo for 15 years, like before it was like a big thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss actually introduced me to it in 07.
Yeah, you tend to be ahead of this kind of stuff, by the way.
So I don't catch every trend, but
Yeah.
the trends I catch always become big. Like
Yeah.
there's no misses. For
I mean, you're
me.
one of the first books that ever came from a blog, but also your blog is one of the first blogs that was ever the way
ever
it was.
a movie, like
Psychedelics,
Right.
like the whole thing.
Dude, I was ahead. I was on CrossFit early. I was on paleo early. I was on MMA and jiu-jitsu early.
Yeah.
Never. I'm
together.
not the pioneer. I'm never the dude doing it 20 years
You're
in
what
the
we
woods,
call
right?
the early adapter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
there's early and late early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, okay. I'm always the late early. So like almost everything.
Yeah.
If I'm doing it, it's about to go big.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the next 5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Usually how it works. And so, yeah, dude, like psychedelics, no doubt. Like,
Yeah.
like 3.5 years ago, that's a late early. Like public companies now.
Yes,
So,
that's,
companies.
yeah.
that's fair.
So for hunting though, so I started eating paleo in 07. That's when I started doing MMA and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And like I noticed it was breaking my body, right?
Yeah.
And then so I was friends with Tim at that time. I'm like, dude, what do I do? He's like, oh yeah, like, you know, supplement with fish oil and this and that, and cut processed grains and cut sugar. And I'm like, what, are you crazy? He goes, do that for 2 weeks and watch what happens.
Yeah.
And it didn't take 2 weeks. Like day 3, I woke
Yeah.
up and I was like, oh my God,
Whoa.
I feel amazing.
Yeah.
Like none of my joints hurt. What's
Yeah.
going on? And so then been eating that way for a long time. And then obviously I understand intellectually sourcing meat's important. Like we
Yeah.
shop at Whole Foods, we eat grass-fed stuff. But honestly, it's a little embarrassing for me to say because I already knew this. I just wasn't doing it. When COVID hit, and then all the shit from COVID that kind of came down, one of the things I realized was, holy fuck, I don't have a direct connection to any of my source of food.
Yeah.
If things actually go sideways in any way, even for a short period, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Like I don't have food.
Yeah, and
I
were
have
you
no way
a
to get
doomsday
food.
prepper at all before this, or is this when it started?
Not in the least. Like I always tease my wife, like she kind of was when I met her, but no, of course not. And so that's what. It's funny, man, because like, no, so like it was summer of 2020, or fall of 2020. My wife and I bought a cow, right? Full
Yeah.
cow, like processed. Came to our house, a big freezer,
Yeah.
like tons of meat, awesome, great. And then the Texas winter apocalypse hits, right?
Yeah.
Well, you weren't working for Scott then,
I
were you?
just started.
You were just started.
I
Okay.
just started.
Right. And so you remember like people were like, I have 3 bags of Cheetos in my house and nothing else. And I'm
I
like,
had some Doritos and a lighter.
these motherfuckers were gonna starve, right?
Yeah.
And so like I drove in to the office and we had probably eaten 50 pounds of the 600-pound cow that we
Yeah.
had delivered, like,
Right.
right? And so it was like, all right, I took like 150 pounds in. And like, I mean, it was a fuckload.
And you
of
also brought
meats.
like canned yams,
Yes,
all
right.
all this
Basically
stuff.
all the canned shit we didn't want.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I noticed it was some of the low level, like,
of course
oh
it was.
man.
I'm not bringing my good shit. Fuck you guys. You didn't prepare. It's your own fault.
I live in an apartment, man. Come on.
So, yeah, no,
Got some
I
spam and some water chestnuts.
took all that stuff in, and that was when it, like, buying the cow was like, okay, smart. But then, like, that happened, I'm like, oh, man. Like, this isn't enough.
There's
Having
levels.
a deep freeze with 500 pounds of meat in it is, like, cool. That's going to get me through something that resolves very quickly.
Yeah.
What if shit doesn't resolve quickly, right? Like, forget, like, a nuclear bomb hits. Just, like, a normal shit. What if...
Yeah.
Well, fuck, man, I gotta... And so that's when we kind of started the whole process. Sold our house in Austin in March of this year.
Yeah.
Bought a ranch in Dripping, a ranchette in Texas,
Yeah.
because it's under 100 acres, but whatever. Bought a ranch in Dripping, whatever it was, July or April, or July or August. And now we're on it, and like we have cows on it,
Yeah.
sheep and
2
and
cows,
chickens.
right?
2 cows.
I have to clarify because earlier you said cows, and I was like, you have a herd of cattle on your ranch?
No, 2 red Angus
It's,
cows.
we have
Cows.
35 acres of grazing space,
Yeah.
so it can only support 2 cows. What are their names? You want to tell them? What are the cow names?
Beef and
Beef
steak.
and
Beef and steak. Yes, exactly.
Foretelling the future.
Yes,
There you
right.
go.
Is Chef Vaughn
She
going to help
knows.
cook them when the day
Of course.
I mean, she's got to season them right.
Yes.
That Von spice.
Yeah. Yeah, so like cows there, sheep and chicken coming. You know, we have our own well.
Yeah.
Rainwater capture, solar's going in. We got backup generators. We're, you know, like, we're ready for, God forbid something happens. We're good to go. Like,
Yeah.
we don't only have stored food. We can grow food.
Yeah.
We can generate food. We have years, the ability to create
Yeah.
years of food right there.
Which even before you came to Austin, like if you told 25-year-old Tucker, hey, not only are you going to be a Texan, you're going to own cows and slaughter a bison and slice your finger open because you don't know how to use a knife, like,
Thanks.
you're welcome. How to get
This
in there.
finger?
That finger right there.
That one?
Honestly,
one
can
right
we
there.
just, that's so appropriate for you. I, like,
It's the
overall,
best.
like, can
Like,
we
of
just,
all the fingers.
Can we just take a second to appreciate?
Do you think 25-year-old Tucker would even for a minute think that was true? Or he'd just say, you're tripping on acid probably.
No, I would, because I grew up, my grandmother had a beef cattle ranch.
Yeah.
So the idea that I was going to a ranch later is not like
Not
super crazy.
crazy.
Not
to me.
super crazy?
Okay.
It's not crazy at all. And then for, you know, what's funny, I grew up hunting a little bit with my uncle.
Yeah.
Well, my uncle was kind of a country guy. He was like, get out a shotgun and like shoot at some birds.
Yeah.
Like, that kind
Just
of
whatever's
hunting.
around the porch.
Right.
He was not a serious hunter at all.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, go out 22,
Yeah.
ping some
Like
squirrels.
subsistence hunting.
Varmint hunting.
Yeah, varmint hunting.
Okay, there
you
yeah,
go.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like, I got here,
Arby's
and then I had
hunting.
some friends who were like pretty serious hunters, and I like went out a couple times. I'm like, oh well, this is badass.
Yeah.
Like when you treat it like an art,
Yeah.
and it's like something that's productive.
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool. And then I really like. I mean, I already knew about like. Obviously, humans have been hunting game for as long as
Since
humans,
they figured it out.
I mean,
Yeah.
arguably the reason that we became human is
Good
because
evidence.
we unlocked fire to cook meat.
Cook meat,
You know, like possibly.
because
like,
we realized that
right.
broccoli sucks and bison's
There's the
better.
stoned ape theory, but I'm more on the line of.
Oh yeah, no, Terrence McKenna might be right.
He might be, yeah.
Stoned ape might have come first, and then who
and then
knows?
an ape's got to be stoned to try and cook something.
Yeah, to start figuring out tools.
Yeah,
and all. Yeah, he might
Maybe
be right.
he might be right. He might be right.
I'm not arguing against that. They're not necessarily mutually exclusive.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But like, and so then I got kind of into hunting, and it's like, oh, this is awesome. And they loved it. They loved going
Yeah.
out. They loved whatever. And so it's like, yeah, like, but then I came at it more from a sustainability, spiritual. That's where psychedelics kind of connects in,
Kind of
right?
connects it.
Right, because it's like, okay, so I did an LSD Mdma session combined.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Is that intimidating to go into at all, or is it
oh,
like
dude, LSD will kick you in the teeth. Man. No,
Yeah.
seriously, it absolutely rips the veneer down off reality.
Really?
If you don't want to face shit, do not do that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Is there a therapist in the room with you, or are you just
Yeah,
gonna?
of course. Oh, I always have a
Yeah.
guy.
There's someone
I'm
there.
not, no,
Yeah, yeah.
fuck no.
You're not at the sand dunes like our high school friends were.
No, no,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Doing this stuff, I honestly don't understand how people do this shit recreationally.
Yeah.
For me, it is always extremely intense.
And at this
Yeah.
point, have you
emotional
gone
and all
through
this
like mushroom and?
Yeah, so I've done about 5-6 MDMA sessions, about 2 mushroom sessions, one that was 8.5 grams, like
Okay.
which was the real ego crushing one,
Yeah.
which is kind of where I was at that point. Then LSD and MDMA, dude, that was the first time I did LSD, just LSD, and I did what I thought was a microdose.
Yeah.
It ended up for me not being. Some people, I think I'm pretty sensitive to
Okay.
LSD. I did like 25 or 50 micrograms, which like maybe not a microdose, but that's a museum dose. That's
Yeah.
it. Dude, I spent 8 hours on the sofa heaving, racking sobs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like I had a lot of grief.
Yeah.
And the LSD was like, oh, grief, here you go.
There it is.
Yeah, you need to feel
Yeah.
this.
And were you
it-
seeing
I mean,
anything, or was it just
yeah,
all
no
of
choice.
that
Dude,
physical?
It was all somatic.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, the next day, my abs have never been this sore.
Jeez.
Like it was. Yeah, that's a 12-hour ride. At least 8 hours of it was
Yeah.
heaving, racking
Yeah.
sobs. Like to the point where my wife had to bring me water because I had been crying so much.
You were out of-
hydrated.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's fucking
It's like you went and
insane.
rolled for 2 days straight,
Dude,
right?
it was worse.
Yeah.
I would rather roll with Tim Kennedy for 2 days straight than deal with it.
I think Tim Kennedy would take you up on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Of course he would.
Tim, if you're listening.
Hey.
You know, he actually just processed the buffalo rum.
Did he really?
Like
That's
2
crazy.
months ago.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so LSD. So second time LSD and MDMA, and MDMA cuts the edge off, and And so I processed a lot of trauma, but then I got into this weird mind expansion. You use psychedelics for two reasons, either healing trauma or mind expansion, right? Yeah. And you're gonna get a little bit of both regardless, but I've always gone in with a healing trauma thing, because all my guides and the people I've worked with who know this, who've been doing this for decades, say, listen, you can go in for mind expansion, but then if you haven't healed your trauma, you become like the dude we were talking about who just won't shut up about ayahuasca, but is still fucked up. Right? Like, do you want to be him? No, I don't. Okay, heal your trauma first. Use it for that reason, because you got plenty of time to go visit the space aliens and the machine elves and all
the elves and all that.
You got plenty of
Not talking about anybody in particular.
Nobody, just
elves.
So anyway, so LSD, and then it was like, it started, I'm not gonna say I had a conversation with God, but it was like first I had the deepest feeling of oneness and all the transcendent, like I'm like, oh my God, like total at one with the universe. And then it was like the medicine was showing me, because I know physics really well, and it was showing me like, dude, of course all things are one. And like showed me like what how that's true through physics. And I'm like, oh my God, of course. Obviously, all things are energy. Yeah. This is an energetic system. Everything. And it was like, like basically everything, every avatar, Jesus, Buddha, Rumi, everything they've been saying, here's why this is true. And it showed me through
it's all connected.
Basic physics, honestly. Like not even like advanced, no. Like, it's like, oh, fuck, of course.
Right, Vaughn?
So I had this deep transcendent experience, and then 2 days later, I got a really good friend who's Mormon, and I called him up, and I'm like, hold on a minute, when you talk about I'm like, this is what you're talking about, right? He's like, yes. And so I'm like, oh, well now I understand why you're religious.
Now I'm Mormon.
Right. That's a dog. No, but he's like a true believer and very connected to God. And all that. And like, I always thought like either they're crazy or they're lying to themselves. Right. No, plenty of people can get there without any of this shit, right? He sees it through a religious lens. Cool. Yeah. He's having the exact same experience, and we talk about it for like 2 hours. He's like, "This is so amazing." Yeah. Like, I'm gonna call it source or universe. You call. I'm like, he's like, I call it God. You call it source. It's the same thing. Same thing. Yeah. I'm like, oh fuck. That's when I got very spiritual about hunting. Okay. Yeah. Right? Because I realized, oh shit, man. Like, I get why the vegans are so, can't kill, and I get why the Buddhists say that. I'm not entirely sure that's accurate. But I went to like, I do get why being very conscious about it, thanking them, connecting to the energy of all of it. Like you guys, were you there when I said that we all said the prayer?
We were, yeah. We were trying to be respectful of the kids.
Right, of course. So like I'm very serious about that. Absolutely. Like always, like it's almost impossible to understand that from a logical, rational, materialist viewpoint. Nothing wrong with that viewpoint. It's just a limited viewpoint. Yeah. Right? And it's not like so many people think, oh, you have to have one or the other. No. If I'm trying to build a car, I don't need a lot of spiritual shit. I just need engineering. Logical, rational, let's go. If I want to connect with source, engineering's not really, at least the engineering we have on this earth, not going to work. Right?
The elves can do it, but not us.
Right. Exactly. Because they're seventh dimension beings, right?
Exactly. They got it.
We're still in 3.
Yeah.
So got a couple dimensions.
Exactly. That's when it got spiritual to me, and that's when it was like, man, okay, now I get it. Yeah. So yeah, it is spiritual, Absolutely. But it kind of took psychedelics opening the space for me to really get into. Yeah. Oh, dude, I'll never forget. Like, oh, of course, the kingdom of heaven is within. I know exactly what Jesus was talking about now. Yeah. I thought he was just a fucking scammy kook before, or just a genius persuader. Yeah. Oh fuck. Like it was like,
He was talking about connectedness the whole time.
It's all an experience. I don't think you can understand that shit intellectually.
Yeah,
I think you have to experience it.
It's almost inherently irrational, but to rationalize it, you have to experience it.
The only way to understand it is to experience it.
Yeah.
Oh, is that yours?
And so after that experience, I want to talk about the bison from today, but just really quick, what was the first kill like after that experience?
You were there, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
that's right, Ms. Vaughn. Those pictures are on my Instagram.
Yeah. Okay.
So she and I went hunting on the lease that I'm going to be on next year, but they're taking me out. we went hunting. It's funny because Bishop goes with me every time, and then this time he was sick and he couldn't go. And then like he'd gone like
I bet he was pissed.
We'd gone 4 times and not gotten a deer. Other people there got a deer. We'd never. It just like weird.
It just doesn't work out sometimes.
Right. And so like he was a little butthurt about it.
That's part of the lesson of hunting, man.
Exactly. Anyway, pull around the corner and there's a fucking herd of deer, and I immediately. You guys weren't down there, but like he was like. The guy, remember James was saying, like, I didn't think you were going to take the shot that quick. I'm like, it was lined up. He's like, no, it definitely was. He's like, but most people would not just take the shot. Like, you just... So I came around, boom, took the shot on the first one. It leapt off, but I got it. I could see. And then the others ran down a gully into a creek bed, and then they stopped because they're behind. They thought we couldn't see them, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, boom, man, this massive 10-point buck went right broadside against me.
And
boom.
boom.
And that's the picture where you can see, like, it's the first one.
And it's a clean...
You can see right there, like a little red dot.
Just a clean right there.
That thing, I hit it, it did a jump, staggered, boom, down.
And that's what you want.
It was awesome. And so then we went and got both, cleaned them both. We're going to pick them up today, actually.
That's
dropping this off.
this.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
For those watching, there's a full bison in the
It's about
bed of
350
pounds of bison in the bed
And
of
the
truck.
head.
And the head and the
yeah.
skin. It's the liver's
Which,
not... We ate most of the liver already.
And by the way, I'm so grateful that you let us experience part of just like the skinning of it and being involved in the whole process.
What kind of dick would I be? Hey, come out, guys. I just stand there.
I mean, we would have understood.
We totally would have gotten.
We would have understood.
Yes, but I'm not going to do that. That's the worst.
But again, thank you very much.
Yeah,
of course.
And now walk us through the bison from today, because there was a cool moment.
Yeah.
It turned funny, but we get to Rome Ranch. We had that really awesome moment with Taylor, and we talked through just the spiritual side of what we're doing, hunting, getting the bison. Y'all go to the herd, and then what happens?
Right, so we drive out there in the little Polaris or whatever, me and the guide, and then John and Hal. And so, like, there's a set of young bulls that, like, 2.5, coming up on 3. That's not the age to kill them. So there was one that was, like, ready to go. Or there's a couple. There's, like, 4 or 5. And so you just have to drive around until you find one, and then you got to get a clean shot. Because if you don't get it immediately dead, then all the others come up and start stomping it, and they it's like a horrible. This is only buffalo, cows don't do this, whatever, because they're true herd animals, and like an injured animal is actually a threat to them and attracts predators, whatever. So, so if it's badly injured but not dead, they kill it. And so they wouldn't even let me bring my own rifle because it's like a 308. Like, we're not sure it's high enough caliber. I'm like, it's a fucking 200 grain bullet, man. It's gonna go through it. Like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, oh,
you're like, dude, if I shot someone in my house with this, it would blow through the guy, through the wall, drop the engine out of my car, and kill my dog.
Into his car, right? Exactly. So like, I'm like, fine. They have a 30-06. I'm like, guys, it's the same bullet almost. Oh, 40% more powder. I'm like, the muzzle velocity is the same at 50 yards. Don't, whatever.
Math.
I'll shoot. And then, of course, I show up and it's like kind of a ratchet old 30-06.
It's been in the trailer.
Dude, with a crappy scope, and I'm like, you guys are fucking. I had a Scar 17 with an ACOG I could have brought out here. Okay, cool, whatever. I'll shoot this.
You're almost like, I could have shown you a cool gun.
Right.
You robbed yourself.
Fine. I'll shoot this. No big deal. You know, we practiced, nailed it, no problem. It is. They have it zeroed.
I'll shoot with your Arby's gun. It's fine.
Listen, a gun's a gun. It was fine. So we get out there and we go around, and then like we're looking for it, and we're just. It was like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh man, it might be half an hour.
Because we might have to kind of get it out.
We got an angle. We got to make sure what's behind it. That. We get out there, man, and I'm telling you, we're not even halfway through the herd. And he comes up, he goes, oh, it's a pink tag, which is pink. He's like, let's see if we can get around on this one. The motherfucker sees us, turns right, faces at us, and starts slowly walking towards us. And he's like, the guy goes, and sometimes they pick themselves. And I was like, this mother, and so he actually was coming so quickly towards us. I had to, it was on a 9X.
Yeah.
I had to scale it back to 5. It was still too close. He actually put the fucking cart in reverse, backed up 10 yards. The thing stopped. And then a couple of cows were walking over. He goes, watch for those cows. I don't want you to, bam, I just got no, because like.
You were like, what?
You got it centered.
No, and he told me exactly what shit. You don't want between the eyes, you want
more
above
right
the stem, because you essentially you want it when it's coming up from grazing, because you want to get into the stem so it dies immediately, right? And so, like, dude, I'll be honest, like, I didn't say to anyone. I wasn't nervous of the shot. I just didn't want to fuck up the shot. Man. Like, for not embarrassment, like, I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
I was like, man, if I fucking wound this buffalo, and
then
don't
you have
kill
to
him,
watch.
It's about respecting
God, and
animal
watch
in
them
the
stomp
process.
it and all this shit. It's like, I actually did. No, not talking about spiritual shit. I'm like, my guides and helpers and angels, please, for the buffalo, let's get this
Just
right.
let me shoot to kill.
Let me get this right for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, boom, took the shot, and perfect. Like, he literally just went straight down. It was a perfect shot. Thank God. And I literally said, like, thank you guys, I owe you one. The whole herd comes up, which they told us was going to happen. And they, like, nudge it for a while. And, dude, it really is weird. It's almost like they're grieving. And so they look, we just sat there for, like, 5 minutes and watched it, 10 minutes and watched it. And then that's when you guys started to drive up, right?
We kind of came up slowly.
Okay. And then we kind of started driving around it to get them away. And then Taylor took a cart over and fed them in a different area to draw them off with some hay. Strung it up on the backhoe, and then drove it over to the processing area and started fucking cutting in. It was. I never in my life thought I would shoot a buffalo at, I wasn't even 50 yards. That was 20 yards at most, maybe 15. I mean, that was like, I thought he was going to.
You can almost convert to feet the distance that you were.
Dude, he was so close. Like, I almost thought he was gonna, like, it felt like he was gonna. I know this is motivated reasoning,
Sure.
right? But, dude, it really felt like he knew his time was there. He was cool with it. Cool, I'll turn into it. It felt like he's like walking. He was going to put his head on the fire. I swear to God, if we'd let him, I think he would have come straight up.
He was really like, it's me, right?
Just cool. It's cool, guys. I got this one.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like I was telling my some of the guys I hunt with who aren't quite spiritual. Like they're the reason I go with them is because they're super fucking rich guys with a badass lease, and they let me on for way less than I should be paying. And they're good dudes. They're not.
They're respectful.
They're not. They're respectful-ish. Like they always take the deer in, clean the deer. Sometimes they'll leave the hogs out. Like they're like kind of not that spiritual, but I tell them, like, listen, like most Plains Indians believed that animals would sacrifice themselves, like, and the deer was a great friend of the Indians. It's the animal that willingly gives itself for your life, et cetera, et cetera. And he goes, one of my buddies, Bill, goes, yeah, I think that too if I was killing deer. I was like, you have a very good point.
Whatever you want to
point. You do. It is a good point, man. I have no argument. I'm not one of them. It's telling you how they saw it, and it makes sense. You know? So.
And you connect with it. Like, that's what you connect with. And so, Tiger, we know that you got to take this bison that we just talked about to get it processed. So you can
see the ice melt.
Slowly, I thought you were going to say blood for a second. I was like, no. We got one more question for you. It's the question we ask all of our guests.
You take the honor.
All right. What does it mean to you to be Texan?
It's actually a difficult question. I mean, there's an easy,
they're
toss off answers to it, but if you actually think about
That's why we ask it.
It's a difficult question. I'll tell you. All right, so this is what comes to mind for me. We kind of talked about this a little bit. My wife and I picked Texas for a lot of reasons. Then COVID hit, and then the bullshit lockdowns, and then all the fucking riots, and then vaccines, and then
don't forget murder hornets.
Murder hornets. All right, I forgot about that. Which are not in Texas.
Which are not in Texas at all.
All that shit hit. And again, we have the money and resources. We could have gone anywhere. And we re-looked at Texas and was like, not only do we want to stay, if I was anywhere else, I think I'd come here. And there's a lot. I mean, I can go through all the different reasons. But at the end of the day, I think if what we're seeing is some sort of, in the cycle of empires, the constriction phase and the tyranny phase, if that's true, and I think it is, but who knows, we'll see. If that's true, then I think freedom is going to make it stand in America, and in America, it's going to make it stand in Texas. right? Which doesn't mean it's the only state, but I think all things considered, I think this is the place to be if you care about freedom and if you're willing to do the work for it. Everyone says fight for it. It's easy to fight. It's not easy to do the work. You know?
Yeah.
Right? That's the big thing I learned on psychedelics. It's easy to have an enemy. Like if you're the bad guy, I don't have any problems.
Right.
But when I realized you're actually not the bad guy,
we're all the
even
same.
if you're a fucked up asshole and are bad, whatever issues I have mainly are within myself, right?
Yeah.
And so like, I think if there is a group of people in a place that has a long history of it, and a group of people who seem like they are in that spot, overall, I would say Texas is the spot. And so that's what it means to me is, it's the place that my family and I have chosen to make our stand, to do our work, and to do our part in making sure at least some part of the human race stays free.
Yeah.
Willing to do the work for the freedom.
We are alongside you in the work.
Absolutely.
And thank you for the job, but also thank you for...
I didn't give you the job.
That's true.
You didn't even interview with me.
That's true.
You got hired on your own merits.
That's fair. Thank you for starting the thing that I now work at. Thank you for letting us take part in today. We know that it was a very special time with your kids, and so we feel very privileged that we got to be part of it.
I'm glad to have you guys.
And thank you for working for freedom in this state.
Of course. Yeah.
All right.
God bless you, Tucker Max.
Bye, y'all.